Hello and welcome to a casual, quick language learning update after a long time. It's probably going to be pretty rambly because that's just how things go. But I figured I would just give you a little update on what's been going on with my languages over the last couple of months and then also share what I'm planning in the near-ish future. It's currently a little difficult for me to plan because there's so much going on and so many variables that I don't really know. It's annoying, but I'm trying to go with the flow. For any of you who have not seen the last vlog, or really any of my last vlogs, I recently in January finished my last class for my degree and have since been working on my master's thesis, which I have already handed in, which is what the last vlog is about. Because of that, I was pretty busy and my language learning was definitely influenced by that, but that's not a surprise given that my whole degree for the last 2.5 years has definitely limited how much I have interacted with languages. And there have definitely been some up phases where I was really excited about languages, tried to keep them incorporated in my life, but ultimately, the last 2 years have really not been the most successful language learning years. I did have two attempts of incorporating Japanese studies more into my life again. I think the first one was back in 2022 or 2023, I'm not sure, when I had signed up for the JLPT and I took the time to study for it, but eventually dropped it again because I was just too busy with school. The second attempt was actually last year around fall when I had decided that I wanted to get back into learning Japanese and learning languages in general again, which had been inspired by the Polyglot Gathering earlier that year. But I gotta say, I've been sticking with Japanese surprisingly well. Have I been learning every single day? Absolutely not. Did I have like 2, 3 weeks at a time when I wasn't studying? Absolutely. But given that I was writing my master's thesis, I feel like I've done an exceedingly good job at trying to keep up with everything. I mean, I read 1.5 books in January and then continued reading the second book into February. During that time, I was also rewatching the first 3 seasons of Demon Slayer. I watched The Apothecary Diaries and some other anime. So it's not like there wasn't any language learning happening. It's just that the type of learning that I was doing wasn't very intentional. And I don't think there's anything wrong with just watching things and trying to pick things up from that and just kind of let it all wash over you. But for me, intentionality when trying to learn is really important, and that just wasn't reflected in the learning I was doing. Like, I've definitely neglected my sentence mining, I've not done any flashcards since, I'm not really actively trying to improve. And I would definitely like to get back into that, looking up grammar structures, looking up words, making sentence cards, speaking practice, just things that will help me improve my Japanese actively. Anyways, since I just handed in my thesis, there is finally an end to this madness. Or maybe the real madness is only just about to get started. I don't really know. But typically how these videos go is that I make a plan, I set goals for myself, and I share them with you. And within 2 to 6 weeks of me sharing my goals and plans, something major happens in my life, and for one reason or another, my goals either become unattainable or irrelevant, or something else happens that throws me off the rails. I've definitely noticed that pattern over the last couple of years where I think things will go one way and then they go another way, which is a little disappointing and definitely frustrating, but I am trying really hard to just go with the flow and just accept things as they come. That being said, I will still make goals and I will still make plans and I will still share them with you and I will keep you updated on how things are going. I already know some chaos lies ahead of me in the not too distant future. I'm just not exactly sure when it's going to hit me. So the question is, how much time can I get to just uninterruptedly learn languages? Is it going to be just a couple of days or is it going to be a couple of months? I don't really know. Let's find out, I guess. All I can say is that in the time between taking notes for this video, editing it, and uploading it, things have already changed a couple of times, which is great. We love change. But anyways, for the time that I can when I'm not busy with adult responsibilities, I will try to live my best language learning, polyglot dream life for however long that I can. The first thing I did Literally the day after I handed in my thesis was open the Migaku Academy course for Korean because I have been literally dying to learn Korean. I've been wanting to get back into it since probably November, but I held back because I knew that if I started it at that time, I just would not stick with it because things just got too busy, and I knew that. But for the past 7 days, I have been going through the Korean Academy course, and I gotta say, I'm having a pretty good time. And it's so funny because I just recently rewatched my old Korean content, and I noticed that I was actually making progress. Like, I look at those videos and I'm like, wow, I actually understood all of that. When now I look at most of those things, I'm like, I don't even recognize any of the words anymore. And then I noticed that I was talking about Korean pretty consistently for a while and then just never mentioned it again after the 9 month mark. So let me give you a quick rundown of what happened back then. I started learning Korean back in 2022 and used the Refold 1K deck for vocabulary and the Talk to Me in Korean website, which has now changed quite a lot. But back in the day, you could like go on the Talk to Me in Korean website and get like grammar explanations and everything. So I used that for my grammar. Then in April, I started writing my bachelor's thesis, and naturally, it was a pretty busy time. Then I got sick with COVID, which was not a good time. And so I took a break from Korean for about 2.5 months. After the 2.5 months, I restarted the Refold 1K deck because I realized that I had forgotten a lot of the things I had previously learned. At that time, I also started reading graded readers, though, which helped immensely with retaining grammatical information but also reviewing the words I had seen in Anki. Then in October, I started my master's degree, which turned out to be a lot more challenging than I had anticipated. And for a while, my Korean studies were going pretty well. I think I uploaded a 9 month update in November, probably, at which point I had also started the BBIM challenge, which I still think is a really fun challenge. But then things just got so difficult and stressful at university that I decided to essentially drop all language learning. And while I did continue learning until probably February, I just never made a video about it again. And that's why you never heard about my Korean again. But now I'm back and I started the Migaku Korean Academy, which I'm so excited and so looking forward to making progress in. I'm really excited to get back into Korean. But right now there's not too much to report. It's only been a week and I'm basically back at zero because I just don't remember a lot. I mean, even the writing, I had to brush up on that again because it's been a while, you guys. But I will definitely make a 1 month update and then keep you updated on how things are going. Yeah, that's that for Korean. Next on the list would definitely be Japanese, and as I already explained, I feel like I kept up with it pretty well, all things considered. Except for March, where I didn't even touch it. Which is technically not true entirely because my thesis was on a Japanese linguistics topic called Gano conversion, where in certain sentences you can replace the nominative marker ga by the genitive marker no, and it still indicates the subject, which is really weird because no is in modern Japanese not a subject marker, but it somehow works. And my thesis was about which factors influence when this conversion or alternation can happen and when it can't happen and why it can happen and all those things. Anyways, obviously some of the literature on this topic is in Japanese, so I had to read that. So I technically did interact with Japanese. It's just that it feels very different, just like I said before, when the intention is to learn something and like take mental notes of the grammar used or the vocabulary used or like trying to learn words versus trying to just get the information out of the text, which is definitely what I was doing when reading for my thesis, right? I don't have time to analyze every single sentence and mark every single word and put them into my SRS and all that. So very different type of interaction with Japanese. With that being said, in the next couple of weeks, I want to focus on first generally incorporating Japanese more into my daily life again, but then also having more intentional study sessions like sentence mining, where I intentionally look up the words and make cards so that I can learn them later, or reading while also looking up words more intentionally. Ultimately, I think that my problem with Japanese is still that I do not know nearly enough words to express myself the way I want to and to be fully comfortable understanding books or media. So I hope that the sentence mining and SRS will tackle those two problems in the future. So next on the list, and I'm aware that we're getting into slightly unrealistic territory because there's obviously only so much time in a day, right, to spend with language learning. And you really need to spend at least a certain amount of time every week with the language to realistically make progress. Like 10 minutes a day is not going to cut it. And because I'm aware of that and because I'm aware of my situation, I keep my goals intentionally flexible. I don't want to get locked into having to make so and so many flashcards every day or listening to Japanese for so and so many hours every day because I just don't know what's going to happen, right? And I really wish that it was different. I wish that I could set very concrete goals, that I could just like check a box every day. That would feel so great, but I'm just not in a position right now to do that. I'm going to the Polyglot Gathering at the end of May, and I know that there are a lot of Spanish speakers, whether natives or high-level Spanish learners. There are so many there, and I wish to talk to them. Now, that requires me to actually get comfortable speaking, because I can understand Spanish at like a high beginner intermediate-ish level, which is fair enough to get by and follow conversations. However, my spoken Spanish is very slow, very rusty, and I wish to improve that. Now, because the gathering is so soon, obviously I don't have time to improve my Spanish like crazy, learn all these words, learn all this grammar. But I definitely want to brush up on some of the grammar structures that I learned previously, refresh some of the words and set phrases just so that I can pull from some kind of pool of set phrases when I'm in a conversation. And then really just do some reading out loud practice to get used to the pronunciation again, or talking to people on like Tandem or Hello Talk. Not really sure yet how I want to approach it, but I definitely want to use my Spanish a little more than I did last year. For the next couple of weeks, I will just roll with that, do the best that I can, and see where it takes me. I already know that in like June, July, a lot of things are potentially going to change for me, so it's really hard for me to say what's going to happen after that, but I'll see. I'm definitely also excited for some of the videos that I have planned for the next couple of weeks though, like a video on Japanese loanwords and why they're so weird, a video on German pronunciation and why German sounds so harsh. Do we really though? Potentially a video discussing how natives and second language learners are different and how you will never be native. A video about my Korean progress, and then I might also throw in a video about how I'm learning to speak Dutch. A lot of those videos will probably take me longer than a week to make, so don't expect them to come out one after the other, or in that order, or at all, honestly, but I'll try my best, and I'll see you in the next video.